I still remember the night that changed everything. A night that began in a cold hospital parking garage and ended with a tech empire crumbling from the inside out. I'm Clara Hartman, and what I'm about to tell you isn't about money or status. It's about retribution, survival, and the fierce determination of a single mother who refused to be crushed by a system rigged against her. I wasn't always a vigilante in the digital shadows. For 5 years, I poured my heart into Veyron Tech, a company valued at over $200 million, where I honed my skills as a coder. But behind the sleek facade and inspiring family speeches of our CEO, Marcus Veyron, lay a darker reality. I was one of many unsung heroes who spent long nights debugging code from a cramped apartment, while my daughter Lily slept fitfully in a worn-out pink beanbag chair. I was a single mom struggling to balance a demanding career and a daughter whose fragile health kept me awake more nights than I cared to count. Lily's soft, trusting face was my anchor even on the bleakest days. I was determined to provide for her, to create a better world where a child wouldn't have to fear the next asthma attack. But when I was fired from Veyron Tech, branded a liability and scapegoated for a data breach, I knew I had been crushed by a system that cared little for the lives it upended. Every day at Veyron Tech had taught me 2 brutal lessons. Coffee runs in the stairwell come faster when you cry, and no one in a corner office tells the truth. Marcus, the charismatic yet callous CEO, always delivered rousing speeches. "We're changing the world, one line of code at a time," he'd proclaim, his voice filled with deceptive warmth. Yet behind closed doors, he prowled the halls like a predatory child raiding a forbidden cookie jar. I noticed small inconsistencies, strange server access logs, whispered conversations in empty corridors, and a constant air of fear that suffused the office. My suspicions began with Project Phoenix. While debugging a new payroll system update late one night, after Lily's bedtime when my mind was numb from exhaustion and worry, I stumbled across a spreadsheet that defied logic. Hidden among mundane data were bizarre entries, layoff quotas, skewed performance metrics, and a secret restructuring bonus totaling $20 million earmarked for none other than Marcus himself. Every page bore the unmistakable signature of Jake, Marcus's trusted right-hand man. I confronted them in what I thought was a moment of righteous indignation. Marcus, with a patronizing smile, patted my shoulder as though I were a confused puppy. "Clara, single moms shouldn't stress over big-picture stuff," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. Jake, ever the silent accomplice, could only look down at his shoes as if hiding his guilt. At that moment, I knew I was facing a conspiracy much larger than a single employee's grievance. Three days later, the company's facade of virtue shattered completely. The same lies that had stained Project Phoenix were repackaged as gross misconduct and a fabricated data breach. Security forces escorted me past the glass-walled break room, where cruelly my Employee of the Month photo still hung as a relic of a time when I believed in loyalty and fairness. In that moment, the weight of betrayal was overwhelming. Not only was I losing my livelihood, but I was also being ostracized in a company that I had given everything to. The repercussions were swift and brutal. Marcus, in his calculated manner, ensured that my name was blacklisted across the industry. Job applications were met with closed doors, and as Lily's asthma worsened, my mounting credit card debts loomed like dark clouds over every sleepless night. I found myself at a crossroads, teetering on the edge of despair when a spark of memory ignited my resolve. In the dark hours of a 3 a.m. binge on survival tips, including a desperate search on how to sell plasma, I recalled a backdoor I had crafted, a safeguard that Veyron Tech's arrogance had led them to believe was long forgotten. With Lily sound asleep in the back seat of our old, rattling car parked near the hospital, I powered up her well-worn laptop, a frozen relic from better times, and began my covert crusade. That admin key I had left behind was more than just a technical fallback. It was my lifeline back into the very heart of the beast. I breached their backup server with a precision born of years in the trenches of code, only to discover that Project Phoenix was merely the tip of the iceberg. Every file I uncovered revealed another layer of betrayal. Jake had been siphoning millions into a shadowy shell company, funneling funds that were never meant to vanish into thin air. The digital breadcrumbs were undeniable, Slack logs filled with chilling exchanges. Marcus, make sure Hartman's name stays off the breach report. Jake, what about her kid? Marcus, not our problem. Every line of text was a dagger in my heart, a testament to the inhumanity of those who put profits over people. I captured screenshot after screenshot, my hands trembling not just from the adrenaline of the hack, but from the enormity of the injustice I was witnessing. With each stolen file, I reclaimed a fragment of my dignity, piecing together evidence that would bring down the empire of lies. Revenge, I soon learned, wasn't a matter of brute force. It was about strategy, precision, and above all, patience. I began by leaking carefully selected snippets of Project Phoenix to trusted insiders, junior staff who had long felt the oppressive weight of Veyron's management, anonymous posts on Reddit, strategically placed sticky notes in the bathroom, small acts that seeded doubt and discontent among the ranks. The company's internal morale began to crumble as whispers of corruption turned into outcries of betrayal. The pinnacle of my trap came when I sent Jake a meticulously crafted email. Disguised as a message from Marcus himself, the email read, "Board knows about Phoenix Holdings. Prepare your resignation." I watched with a mix of satisfaction and dread as Jake, caught off guard and utterly convinced by the ruse, stormed into Marcus's office. His anguished tirade, "You said we were partners," was caught on every security camera, a digital confession of his misplaced loyalty and ambition. It was at Veyron's investor meeting, a live-streamed event meant to bolster their stock and investor confidence, where I delivered the coup de grace. As board members and high-profile investors watched, I hijacked the meeting's live feed and overlaid it with the very Slack logs that detailed their deceit. I could see the panic ripple across Marcus's face as the evidence scrolled on the screen, his carefully curated image disintegrating in real time. And as fate would have it, this spectacular moment of retribution coincided with Lily's weekly swim lesson. While I navigated the labyrinth of firewalls and encryption protocols, my thoughts flickered to her bright smile as she splashed in the pool, a reminder that even in chaos, life goes on. The juxtaposition of a mother's love and a tech giant's collapse was not lost on me. It was a metaphor for the true power of resilience. In the weeks that followed, the fallout was both swift and merciless. Veyron Tech's board scrambled to contain the scandal, but the damage was irreparable. Marcus, once the gilded face of innovation, found himself reduced to a laughingstock. He eventually disappeared from the public eye, resurfacing years later in Florida selling dubious timeshares to unsuspecting retirees. Jake's career was left in tatters, his LinkedIn profile now a monument to exploring new opportunities, a polite euphemism for federal probation and public disgrace. What many didn't see, however, was the silent network of allies who had rallied behind me. Raj, the unassuming IT guy who'd always brewed the strongest chai during our late nights of coding, revealed that he had been feeding me passwords and access codes. "You covered my chemo appointments," he confessed with a quiet smile, his voice full of gratitude and quiet defiance. His small acts of kindness and bravery were a testament to the hidden strength within our ranks. A network of ordinary people willing to risk everything to stand up against corporate tyranny. As the dust settled, I found myself at a crossroads. The victory wasn't just mine, it was a clarion call to every person who had ever been underestimated or betrayed by systems that valued profit over humanity. I redirected the anger and pain of those dark months into building something lasting. Today I run a nonprofit dedicated to teaching coding skills to single mothers, empowering them to write their own narratives in a world that too often writes them off. Each class, each success story is a quiet revolution against the forces that once sought to silence us. Lily, now a little older and braver than I ever dared hope, sees me as her superhero. In her eyes, I'm not just the woman who took down a tech giant. I'm the embodiment of hope, resilience, and the power of a parent's love. Our journey from a cramped apartment filled with the hum of computers and the soft whispers of lullabies to the epic dismantling of an empire built on greed is a story of redemption and reinvention. Looking back every moment, from the tear-stained stairwells to the adrenaline-fueled nights hacking into seemingly impenetrable systems, has been a lesson in the true nature of power. It isn't found in towering boardrooms or glittering accolades. It's in the quiet determination of those who dare to stand up for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against them. The tech industry, with all its dazzling innovations, is not immune to human frailties. Corruption, ambition, and betrayal can lurk behind even the brightest screens. My story is a reminder that the quiet ones, the ones who seem insignificant, are often the ones with the deepest reservoirs of strength. We aren't defeated by the flashing brilliance of corporate power. Instead, we bide our time, learning, waiting, and preparing to strike when the moment is right. So why am I telling you all of this? Not for sympathy, nor for a moment of glory. I'm telling you this so that the next time someone in a position of power pushes you around, you remember that the seemingly inconsequential can, in fact, be unstoppable. The keys to revolution aren't always found in brute force. Sometimes they lie in lines of code, in whispered secrets among colleagues, and in the quiet determination of a mother fighting for her child's future. Today, as I glance back on that fateful night in the hospital parking garage, the night when Lily's tiny hand gripped her inhaler like a lifeline, I see not despair, but hope. Hope that in every dark corner there is a spark waiting to ignite change. And while the board members still call me for consulting gigs, my rate, of course, is a cool $1,000 an hour, payable upfront, I have no interest in their empty apologies or desperate pleas. Instead, I channel my energy into a movement where single moms, overlooked and underestimated, learn to wield the power of technology. A movement where the fight against corporate injustice is fought not with violence, but with strategy, cunning, and a deep-seated desire for justice. To anyone reading this, remember, the quiet ones aren't weak. We are the ones who sit in the shadows, learning every trick and waiting patiently for our moment. When that moment arrives, we strike. Not with fists, but with the unwavering conviction that no one is ever truly powerless. And so, with a smirk to the camera and the satisfaction of a plan executed perfectly, I urge you, never let them underestimate you. Check your firewall permissions, guard your secrets, and know that the next time someone dares to push you around, you have the power to take them down.
All right, so are you ready for this? We're diving into Tech Giant, How I Took Down a Tech Giant, all about Clara Hartman, a single mom and coder who took on, well, a tech giant. I mean, you know she wins in the end, right? But it's that's just so fascinating.
It really is. And you've got Veyron Tech, this massive company valued at over $200 million. And then you have Clara just trying to balance this super demanding job and taking care of her daughter, Lily, who has asthma.
It's David versus Goliath right off the bat.
Yeah, right from the start.
And in this excerpt, it's like we're thrown right into this intense pressure cooker environment. Long hours, the CEO.
Marcus Veyron.
Yeah, Marcus Veyron, who's obsessed with this whole image of like changing the world, but pushes everyone to the absolute limit.
Classic toxic startup culture. And this is important. For Clara, it goes way beyond just a bad workplace. It's not just her. It's impacting her ability to take care of Lily. This is where the stakes go way beyond like your average corporate drama.
For sure. And then there's that turning point. She finds Project Phoenix while she's debugging the payroll system.
Yeah, you can think of Project Phoenix as this kind of secret plan to automate a bunch of roles and basically lay off a ton of people. So she's in there and she finds these entries, right? Layoff quotas, manipulated performance metrics, and a huge restructuring bonus going right to Marcus's pocket. So he's basically setting himself up to get rich off downsizing the company.
Wow. Okay, so she finds all this, and then she tries to go to Marcus, right?
Yeah.
And to his right-hand man, Jake.
Yeah, she does.
And
their reaction, total dismissal. They tell her, you're overreacting, reading too much into things. It's a classic tactic. They prey on someone's self-doubt, so they start questioning what they see with their own eyes.
They basically gaslight her into thinking she's wrong.
Totally. But here's the thing, Clara. She's not just any employee. She's a seriously skilled coder, and she knows something is very, very wrong. And she doesn't back down. She digs deeper.
And that's when they fire her.
Yep. They escort her out right past her, I love this detail, her Employee of the Month photo. It's not enough to just silence her. They want to blacklist her in the entire industry. They're protecting themselves no matter who they hurt.
It's brutal, especially since she was probably a real asset to them.
Yeah, totally dehumanizing. But for Clara, this isn't just losing a job. This is a threat to her and Lily. She's a single mom, bills are piling up, Lily's asthma is getting worse, and now this. It's a desperate situation.
It would be so easy to give up.
Yeah.
But then, remember that back door she built into the system?
Oh yeah, the coder's secret weapon. It's usually created for debugging, but it can be exploited. So Clara, in this moment of desperation, she remembers it. And she decides, you know what, I'm going to use this to fight back. It's kind of brilliant. She uses her knowledge of the system as a weapon.
She's hacking into Veyron Tech servers.
From her car. While Lily's asleep in the back seat, I mean, talk about high stakes. And what she finds, even more incriminating. Remember Project Phoenix? That was just the beginning. She finds proof that Jake's been moving millions into the shell company. This isn't just bad management. This is straight up corruption.
It sounds like what she found was even worse than she thought.
Way worse. And it goes beyond just the money. She finds these Slack logs, and they show just how little Marcus and Jake care about their employees, especially Clara and Lily. There's this one exchange where Marcus basically dismisses Lily's illness like it's nothing. Not their problem, he says.
It's just awful how they could be so heartless, especially when it comes to a child's health. But Clara's not one to just let them get away with all of this.
No, not at all. And what's really impressive is she doesn't just, fly off the handle. She's strategic about it, really calculated in how she's going to expose them.
So how does she do it?
Well, first she starts leaking information. Quietly, to employees at Veyron Tech, people who are already kind of unhappy. She's planting these seeds of doubt about the leadership.
So she's playing the long game.
Exactly. She knows a slow burn is way more effective than just, an explosion.
Like chess, moving all the pieces into place.
Right. And the final move is just brilliant. She creates this fake email, makes it look like it's from Marcus to Jake, and it says the board knows about all of Jake's shady stuff.
So she turns them against each other. I love it.
Oh, yeah, and Jake totally falls for it. He confronts Marcus during this live-stream investor meeting, accuses him of betrayal. Can you imagine the chaos? Everything Marcus built just crumbles in front of everyone.
Wow, talk about a public takedown.
Yeah.
But where's Clara during all of this?
That's the best part. She's at Lily's swim lesson.
Right.
Just watching her daughter completely calm. I mean, it's this amazing contrast, right? For Clara, it's all about family, about justice. For Marcus and Jake, it's greed and power. They end up destroying themselves because they're so focused on protecting themselves.
It's kind of poetic justice.
Mm.
But what's really inspiring is that she doesn't stop there. She helps others.
That's what makes her story so powerful. She could have just been angry, bitter. But no, she takes all that and turns it into something good. She starts this nonprofit teaching coding skills to single moms.
So it's not just revenge. She's trying to help prevent this from happening to other people.
Yeah, she gets that real empowerment comes from knowledge, from having skills. She's giving these women the tools to break free, to be in control of their lives, their futures. I can't code.
Me neither. It's pretty amazing what she did with it, turning this horrible thing into something so positive. It's like we all want to see the bad guys lose. But it's even better when someone takes that experience and actually lifts other people up.
Yeah, it shows just how much impact one person can have. And it's not just about, taking down giant companies. It's about realizing we can all do something good with what we have.
Totally. And it makes you think about all those people who helped along the way,
Mm-hmm.
The ones who don't get all the attention.
You're talking about Raj, the IT guy, right? He helps Clara by giving her access, information, even though it puts his own job at risk. He knew it was the right thing to do. Sometimes even small acts of resistance can make a big difference.
It really shows the power of community, how important it is to stick together. Even in a place like a big company where everyone's supposed to be all about themselves, there are good people who will stand up for what's right.
It's a powerful message, and it's something we can all think about. We might not be fighting evil CEOs, but there are always times when we can choose to do something, to support the people who are speaking truth to power. Even small things matter.
It's like all those small acts, all that kindness and bravery can build up and give others the courage to act too.
Yeah, we're not alone in this. So we've talked about this David versus Goliath thing, how smart Clara's plan was, how even quiet resistance can be powerful. But what are the big things for our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
Yeah, what are the key takeaways here?
Well, for me, the biggest one is never give up. Clara had all these obstacles thrown at her, but she never gave up. Even when she lost her job, got blacklisted, had to take care of her daughter, she still found a way to fight. It shows you how strong people can be, how important it is to believe in yourself, even when it seems like everything's against you.
I get that, though. It can feel so overwhelming, and you hear about these huge companies, these big problems. It's like, what can one person even do?
Yeah, I hear you. But I think Clara's story shows us that we're not powerless. Remember, she started by just paying attention, noticing what was going on at her job. Those little things, those inconsistencies, the way people were treated, that's what led her to uncover something much bigger.
So it starts with just being aware.
Yeah, exactly. Noticing how power works, how people get silenced, asking questions, not being afraid to speak up when something feels off.
And what about when you see something wrong, but it's not happening to you? What can you do then?
Well, then it's about supporting the people who are fighting for change. Donating, volunteering, even just sharing their stories. Every bit helps. Remember Raj, the IT guy? He didn't take down Veyron Tech on his own, but he helped Clara do it.
It's like all those small acts of support, they build up and make a difference. It shows we're not in this alone.
For sure. And it's also about knowing what you're good at and how you can use it to help. Maybe you're a coder, like Clara. Maybe you're a writer, or good at organizing, or just really good at connecting with people. Those are all important.
It's like we all have different tools we can use to make things better.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And remember, you don't have to be the one leading the charge. Sometimes the most important thing is to be there for the people who are, to support them.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Clara's story, I think the message for our listeners is, don't underestimate yourself. What you do, what you say, even your skills, it all matters.
Absolutely. It's a story that shows us we can overcome anything, even when it seems impossible. It's about finding your own way to fight for what's right and making the world a better place.
And hey, who knows? Maybe one day we'll be deep diving into your story.